Hi guys, this is the Tam Cat Cooking Channel. I think we're going to be calling it Tam Cat Snack Shack. What do you guys think? Put a comment down below and let us know if you think that's a decent name for the channel. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to make my grandmother's chicken and dumplings. So stay tuned. Okay guys, these are your ingredients that we're going to need for chicken and dumplings today. We're going to need chicken. I'm using chicken breast today. Most people use thighs because that's got more flavor, but I just prefer the chicken breast. Okay, then we're going to need oil, cream of chicken soup. We need all-purpose flour, eggs, salt, water, and of course chicken broth. So that's the basic ingredients that you're going to need to make a good pot of chicken and dumplings. Now I'm putting the chicken broth into the pot, and I've already washed my hands. So we're getting the chicken and we're putting it in the pot with the chicken broth, and we're going to cook it on low and slow so that chicken can get nice and tender. Now you don't want to put too much broth in at the beginning, but you want to put just enough to be able to cover the chicken because you're going to cook it really slow. And as you can see, it's going to be cooking slow for at least 2 hours. You want to make sure that the chicken is tender and not chewy. So always remember, if you're cooking chicken for like a stew or a soup or something like that, make sure you cook it slow and low. Alright guys, so I'll be back here in about 2 hours to show you how to make the dumplings and get them put in the pot. And there's my sweet wife. She's getting ready to go to work, or she's heading out right now. And the chicken breasts are ready. Alright guys, the chicken is done. We're going to take it out of the pot, and then we're going to put it in the bowl to let it cool while we make our dumplings. Now you want to strain those little strings out there, because all those are just little fat pieces that have accumulated or fallen off the chicken. So you want to take those out so you don't have any weird slimy things in your chicken and dumplings. So here we are. We got the chicken broth all nice and strained out. We got extra chicken broth put in the pot because I'm making a double batch. Because, you know, everybody loves Gammy's dumplings. So, alright guys, so here we go. This is what we're going to be doing. We have 4 cups of flour. We have 2 eggs, a half a teaspoon of salt, and then we got a half a cup of oil. We use canola, but you can use any oil of your choice. I wouldn't advise using olive oil because it would change the flavor of the dumplings. Okay, so now I'm just going to start adding everything in. I don't like touching slimy stuff, so I kind of do one of these numbers beforehand. Just have to get some water, but I want to get some of the sliminess of the egg incorporated with the flour, so that way I will not have to touch any sliminess. Because I'm one of those weird ones. Alright, so you just want to add a little bit of water as you go along. You don't want to add a lot, just a little bit at a time until you can get the consistency of the dough that you want. So that looks like a pretty good little start there. Alright, now if you see, it's starting to clump up a little bit here. So now I'm about ready to start getting rid of the spoon, because now it's not slimy, and I can actually start dealing with everything by hand now. And yes, I have washed my hands. You're nice and clean. Alright, so now you just want to start working your dough a little bit. Alright, so just a little bit more water. We're almost there. And you know, you could always do this with chicken broth too. It adds a little extra flavor to the dumplings. I mean, that's not how I was raised doing it though. You can always use chicken broth if you would like to add extra flavor to your dumplings. Just gotta knead it around. got yourself a good little clump of dough. Just want to knead that stuff in there and get it looking nice. Gotta turn it in on itself. All right. Now, that is ready. Okay guys, we have our little ball of dough. Actually, it's a big ball of dough. And we're getting ready to roll us up some dumplings. I'll show you what to do here. Get yourself some flour. You put it on your board. You add a little bit of flour to your rolling pin. And you want to start small. So you're going to start with a small little piece here. Alright, so you want to roll them out. Kind of flatten it out a little bit. Coat both sides. Now that flour is going to thicken up your juice as well when your broth when you throw them in there. So now just roll them out. Now you don't want them too thin, but you don't want it too thick either, because if you make them too thick, it will take forever to cook. If you make them too thin, then it's going to be more like noodles, like a chicken noodle soup instead of a chicken and dumpling. Alright. So now, you just cut your dumpling strips. I normally do them about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. Sometimes more, sometimes not. It's not really something you have to really be particular about, because they're going to swell up and turn into some deliciousness. So I pretty much do about 1-inch cubes, and that's about how thick your dough is going to be. Probably about, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, so these are going to make some really, really pretty little dumplings here. Alright guys, we got the dumplings all rolled up and cut up. We got the chicken all nice and shredded. Fixing to put that in the refrigerator. And so you know, you don't want salmonella or nothing. So now we got to cook the dumplings. Guys, we have a nice roaring boil to the chicken broth. So now you're going to want to turn down the fire down to like a medium, a low medium, something like that, because you don't want it to tear up your dumplings. So here are my dumplings. Now what we do is we start around the edges. Because you don't want them sticking together. So you just kind of like throw them around the edges, and you just kind of work your way towards the middle. And then by the time you work your way towards the back again, I'm doing this one-handed, guys, I'm sorry. By the time you get it back to the outside, these dumplings are already set so they won't stick. So that's what we're doing right now. Just going around the edges. And oops, ow. Like I said, doing it one-handed is not easy. A lot of people put carrots and celery and all that stuff in their chicken and dumplings, but as my grandmother said, if you want veggies in your chicken and dumplings, then really, technically, you're making a pot pie filling. I don't add any extra veggies, because that ain't how my gammy did it. Make sure that you turn down your fire when you start putting your dumplings in, or you're going to tear your dumplings up. Also, once you get your dumplings in, you need to turn up your heat just a little bit and bring it back up to that boil, but make sure you stir it very gently so you don't tear up your dumplings. But you do want to stir it like you saw earlier to make sure that the dumplings are not sticking together. Alright guys, so we got our pot brewing up with our nice delicious dumplings. Now, as you can see, they've already doubled in size. Okay, you want to be very gentle when you stir them. they will get almost 3 times their size. So you just need to be careful not to overcrowd your pot so that all the dumplings will cook evenly. Also, make sure that you put a lid on it, otherwise it's going to take forever and ever and ever to cook. Just going to have to chill out and wait let it simmer and cook up for at least, I'd say at least an hour, maybe 2. Yeah, so now I'm just going to play a video game and get up every 20 minutes and give those dumplings a stir. Alright guys, it's been about an hour and a half, and let's show you what we got so far. Alright guys, look at what we have here. Doesn't that look splendid? Now, as you can see, the dumplings have almost tripled in size. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is find one of the thickest dumplings that you can find. This one looks pretty good and thick. Okay, and then I'm going to set it over here. Cut into it. Okay, now you see how it has that little bit of a I don't know, chewiness to the center? That's the way it's supposed to look when it's just about done. So let me taste it here. Alright. It's really hot. Great flavor. Really good flavor. It's not quite done yet. I would say probably another 20-25 minutes. Very tender though. Guys, alright, it is time to put the chicken into the dumplings now. I will show you the sauce, show you how everything looks, and it's going to be some good stuff. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this juice from the chicken and dumplings, and I'm going to put it into this bowl, which I'm going to use to thin down your cream of chicken soup so it won't be so hard to mix. So I'm just going to do about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 cups. Just sling it in the bowl there. Set this aside. I'm going to get the chicken. Stir up this stuff here just a little bit. It's about ready to go. My goodness. That looks really, really good. Alright, so now I'm going to start throwing in a little bit of chicken at a time. And stirring it in. Because like I said, you don't want to break up your dumplings now. You want to keep them nice and firm. Because after you get this done, you've got to turn off the heat off of your stove, and then you let it set for a little while, so that way the chicken will, it'll all kind of meld together. Like I said, this is the long way to do things. This is the way I was taught by my grandma, but hands down, it is the best way you can do. Alright, so stir up a little bit more, nice and gentle. Now see, if you cook the chicken with your dumplings, your chicken is just going to fall to pieces. And you want to have little pieces, but you also want to have bite-sized chunks in there. Alright, so that sauce that I reserved earlier is right here. I got myself a small little whisk. And here's the cream of chicken soup. And then you just want to whisk that stuff together. And it's going to thicken your sauce. It's going to add a little extra flavor to it. It's pretty cool. I may not be able to use all of it. Yeah, that might be just about enough. You just fold that in. Nice and slow. Like I said, you don't want to tear the chicken up too much. Here is the delicious chicken and dumplings. This is the finished product. And I am telling you, my grandmother made the best chicken and dumplings known to man. And this was certainly a big treat whenever she would make it for me. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's wonderful on a nice cold day or a rainy day. Okay, now as you can see, the sauce isn't too thick, but it will thicken up when you put it in the refrigerator. So that's why you want it to be a little bit on the juicy side when you first make it, because once it cools down, the juice will thicken up. Okay, so I don't know, it's something to do with the dumplings, but anyway, you can see the creamy, beautiful, nice, beautiful chunks of chicken. The dumplings are the perfect size, and they're not too thick, but they're not too thin. And I'm fixing to taste one right now. Alright, let's try this out. Probably gonna scald my face off. So much like I'm back in El Paso. Very delicious. Very easy recipe. Well, if you like this recipe and you like the video, subscribe and do a thumbs up, and leave comments down below if you have any ideas on what you guys would like as far as recipes. Because I can cook pretty much anything, and if I can't, my wife can. So, subscribe. Okay, you guys take care.